The Nobel Women's Initiative, an Ottawa-based group, on Monday demanded that Saudi Arabia and its allies end a humanitarian blockade on war-torn Yemen, the Arab world's poorest country. Their call coincided with a first food shipment arrival in the Houthi rebel-held Red Sea port of Saleef on Monday, after medical supply flights into Sanaa over the weekend, but UN officials warned that civilian needs remained immense. The coalition tightened its blockade on Yemeni ports and airports on November 6 when a missile attributed to the rebels was intercepted near Riyadh airport. Last week, Saudi Arabia's UN mission said it would respond to international pleas. In their Monday appeal, the women laureates said that vulnerable and the innocent civilians were being denied access to food, fuel and medical supplies, aggravating what the United Nations had called the worst humanitarian crisis to date. The 6 former Nobel laureates behind the appeal were Mairead Maguire of Northern Ireland, Rigoberta Menc of Guatemala, Jody Williams of the United States, Shirin Ebadi of Iran, Tawakkol Karman of Yemen, and Laima Gbowe of Liberia. They condemned violations and crimes perpetrated on civilians by all parties in the current conflict, explicitly including Iran, thought to support the Houthi rebels. The blockade was denying life-saving, humanitarian assistance to more than 20 million people, the initiative said, including at least 7 million, mostly children and women, close to famine. The laureates called on the international community, specifically the UN Security Council, to take urgent action to protect civilians, and bring all perpetrators to international justice. Weekend deliveries to Sanaa, but much more is needed on Sunday, the regional head of the child agency UNICEF, Gia Capellera, said Yemeni children afflicted by preventable diseases were dying at a rate of 1 every 10 minutes. Weekend deliveries of vaccines against diphtheria, meningitis, whooping cough, pneumonia and tuberculosis must not be a one-off, said Capellera. The absence of a political solution to the Yemeni crisis is deplorable, he said. Yemen's 3-year-long war, which has left 27 million people facing food insecurity, is widely seen as the product of the rivalry between regional powerhouses Saudi Arabia and Iran that has also fueled conflicts elsewhere, including Syria. For nutrition, Yemenis are highly dependent on imported wheat. Aid groups warn that humanitarian deliveries cover only a small part of what is required. IPJMSHAFP, DPA, at the UN has identified conflicts as the root cause of Yemen's crises. More than 10,000 people have been killed since the conflict erupted in 2014 when Shiite Houthi rebels launched a campaign to capture the capital, Sanaa. In March 2015, a Saudi coalition launched a deadly campaign against the rebels, one that has been widely criticized by human rights groups for its high civilian death toll. The conflict has prevented humanitarian aid from reaching large parts of the civilian population, resulting in 60% of the country's 28 million people being classified as food insecure. At least 2.2 million children are acutely malnourished, according to the UN World Food Programme. UN Chief Antonio Guterres has urged the Security Council to pressure warring parties to allow aid in. More than 2 million people have been displaced by conflict, including marginalized communities such as the Mahamasheen, a minority tribe that originally migrated from Africa. Despite the civil war, many flee conflict in Somalia and head to Yemen, marking the convergence of 2 major migration crises in the Middle East nation. Yemen hosts more than 255,000 Somali refugees, according to UNHCR. In October, the number of suspected cholera cases exceeded more than 750,000, the WHO said. At least 2,135 people have died from the waterborne bacterial infection in Yemen this year. Although cholera can be easily treated, if left untreated, it can kill within hours. The International Committee of the Red Cross has warned that cholera cases could hit 1 million before the end of the year. In Yemen, violence goes beyond civil conflict. It is considered a strategic front in the war on terrorism. The country serves as the operational base for al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, dubbed the most dangerous terrorist group before the rise of the Islamic State. The US routinely uses drones to target al-Qaeda leadership. However, civilians have often been killed in the operations. In a country paralyzed by conflict, children are one of the most at-risk groups in Yemen. More than 11 million children require humanitarian aid, according to the UN Humanitarian Coordination Agency. The country's education system is on the brink of collapse, while children are dying of preventable causes like malnutrition, diarrhea and respiratory tract infections, the agency said in October. Despite several attempts at unbacked peace talks, the conflict continues to rage on. Saudi Arabia has vowed to continue supporting the internationally recognized government of Yemeni President Abed Rabbo Mansour Hadi. On the other hand, Houthi rebels have demanded the formation of a unity government in order to move forward on a political solution. But neither side appears ready to compromise. Author Lewis Sanders IV